Let's now welcome into the PHNX Suns Podcast our special guest here to talk to us about the Sacramento Kings, Deuce Mason, radio broadcaster for the Kings. Deuce, how you doing today?
Dude, I'm great. What a wild day. I love that we're getting close to NBA season 1. 2, we get this giant trade and like training camps opening. It just feels like a fun time.
Yeah, we're all anxiously at this point, especially from a Suns perspective, anxiously anticipating seeing how everything plays out at the start of the season.
Can I fanboy for a moment?
Yes.
Deuce, Deuce and Mo is one of my favorite podcasts, and I can't stand the Kings. So I'm very conflicted because I love your show and I don't like the team you talk about, yet you still pull me in every time.
One, thank you so much. 2, what's up with your disdain with what the Kings ever do to the Suns?
Nothing. I just don't like anybody that isn't the Suns. It's pretty simple.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm on your side, Deuce. Kings have always been like my low-key team on the side because way back in the day, it feels like it was a long time ago, but it really wasn't in perspective. The whole House Sun King, like we were bonded. I was ready for you guys to also get out of the dark days just like we did. And look at us now. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, it was just a little longer, like 7 years longer, but it worked out okay. And yeah, it's fun. It's just an exciting time in Sacramento too, just because it's not a joke anymore. And it just feels like things are headed in a good situation, into a good era. They've got a fun brand of basketball, and I feel like they're going to be super competitive in the West.
Yeah, so overall, when you look ahead to this upcoming season, what would you say your expectations are for the Kings this year?
I feel like offensively, they're probably going to be even better. They had Sasha Vezenkov, the EuroLeague MVP. I just think a second year together, they're going to be improved. I think defensively, still the biggest question mark. And what's wild about watching them last year that was infuriating at times too is on the road, they were 8th in defensive rating. At home, they were 27th. It's just bizarre. So you wonder, like, is there something in there with Mike Brown in year 2 with the basketball IQ that they have on the team that they can just be middle of the pack defensively? Because if they could be near the top again in offense, which I think they will be with all the shooting they have and with Fox and Sabonis, if they could just be an average defensive team, my expectations are pretty high that they'll be able to win a series.
Are Cowbells just too distracting for defense? I mean, if it's at home, they can't play. Is that what it is?
Dude, I seriously don't know. And I've asked people and no one has a good answer. I think the one thing that gives me a little hope on that end for Sacramento is in the playoffs against the Warriors, their offense was not clicking the same, right? Golden State did a great job taking away the dribble handoffs, making life more comfortable. Fox was banged up. Sabonis was too. They didn't have anything really going offensively like they did during the regular season, but what kept them in is they were competing defensively. So I think there's something there. They don't have a whole bunch of great individual defenders. Obviously, Davion Mitchell's one of their better guys, but, he's a guy that's coming off the bench. Fox shows some signs. But they do have a team full of, like, really smart players, and I think they can have, like, an adequate team defense.
What's the biggest strength and weakness? Is defense that weakness? And what are the strengths when you look at this Kings roster as a whole?
Yeah, the defense is still the biggest question mark, but offensively, they could just hit you in a lot of ways. I mean, they have so much shooting, and I think kind of the swing that we'll be watching this year is like, how big of a step can Keegan Murray take in year 2? Last year he was a catch and shoot guy, super efficient from 3, set the rookie record for most made threes in a season. Now you're starting to see like him add to his game. He spent the offseason working a lot with De'Aaron Fox. He showed something in Summer League in Sacramento when he played a couple of games, and he's shown, he could put the ball on the floor. He could tack a little bit. He's shown some step back ability. So if he can take a step offensively, it's going to make the Kings even more challenging to defend. They have so much explosiveness. Kevin Huerter was such an important part to their team last year from a shooting perspective. Malik Monk off the bench, I feel like he could be more efficient, but he's so good in the pick and roll with the bigs. He can create. And then, De'Aaron Fox took a step. So many teams worry about his speed and his ability to get to the basket. Sometimes they give him that space, and he would make them pay in the mid-range. He became just a mid-range specialist. And, I know we all can vibe with the mid-range a little bit. I know Booker likes taking some mid-range shots too. There's nothing wrong with them. If you're knocking them down, same with KD. And then Sabonis, just what he does as a connector. This guy is the orchestrator. He connects everything. If anything for him, he's got to be a little more selfish looking for his. But I just think offensively, they have the perfect balance from an inside presence with Sabonis, what Fox can do with the speed, Malik Monk's impact and the shooting surrounding all those guys.
All right, Deuce. So if the Suns and the Kings were to meet in the playoffs, I don't want you to give us an outcome prediction, but what do you think that series would look like on both sides?
Oh, wow, that's tough. I mean, the Suns obviously scare me because of the three. I think my biggest question with the Suns is just, does it mesh totally together this year? You're talking about a new coaching staff and a lot of new pieces. I mean, it's crazy to think about how many new players are on that team headed into this season. Obviously, I'd be really concerned about KD come playoff time and Booker. And that's where you go, okay, do the Kings, can they get the amount of stops necessary against an offense that has like killers like Booker and KD? That would be the biggest question. But I like the Kings' depth a lot more. It's so tough to even say right now. Also, one of my early memories, I think I was probably in like, 7th grade, was watching the Kings play the Suns in the playoffs and smack them around. It was so the early 2000s. It was actually the first time the Kings advanced out of the first round. It was fun. It was fun times.
Well, you just hit on why I hate the Kings. So congratulations. We got full circle.
You guys have had so much more fun in recent years. I mean, I know you guys had some but think about all the great players that you guys have had over the years. I mean, I used to love the 7 seconds or less Suns, watching with Nash and Amari, Sean Marion. And then you got Devin Booker, you get Kevin Durant, you had Chris Paul for a second. I know you've had some tough times, but the Kings have had far tougher times. So you should just like kind of feel bad for them in a way.
No, I don't feel bad. I just I feel the way I feel. One last question for you, Deuce. Chimezie Mejia, guy that you guys very familiar with, came over here to Phoenix. What's your take on him? I talked to Alvin Gentry at Summer League, and he said he's a guy that has a lot of talent, hasn't put it together. But what's your read on him?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I thought last year was probably if you look at just the raw stats, you go, oh, he had a down year last year. He was more productive with Mike Brown because his first go around in Sacramento, it just felt like they didn't really have a structure. Hey, whoever was open and touched the ball, shoot it. And Mejia would take a lot of ill-advised threes, do things that probably he shouldn't do. With Mike Brown last year, when he was probably his most consistent, getting some minutes at the backup 5 spot, I mean, he was in that dunker spot. He was finishing. He was a lob threat. He was making the right decisions in the right spots defensively. For him, a lot of guys who are trying to make their way in the league, it's just doing it consistently. It's making the right decisions consistently. It's being in the right spot defensively. And I think that's probably the one frustration the Kings had last year with that backup 5 spot is no matter who they put back there, they just couldn't get that consistency. So I think in spot minutes, to have a guy his size with his athleticism as a lob threat, if he plays his role, he can be a nice role player for the Suns.
Listen, I hope you guys get to light the beam quite a bit this upcoming season, except for when you play the Suns. And by the way, I am low-key a little bit jealous that you guys have the beam. I know everyone was like crapping on it when it first came out, but it has turned into a really cool thing that I'm jealous of.
Look, I'm glad you like it too, because in Sacramento, it is such a big deal. And it's crazy how the most simple thing, a beam being shot in the sky after a win would bring a city together. But I'm not kidding you. The Kings clinched a playoff spot in Portland last year. And fans went to Golden One Center outside of it because the beam was lit, popping champagne, taking pictures in front of the beam. You could see it for miles and miles. So, like, it just brings people together. I think it was like a point of, like, civic pride in a way. And I'm so glad last year was the year they decided to launch it and not like a year where they won 20 games or something.
Mm-hmm.
We will trade you Yusuf Nurkic for the beam right now. Who says no?
Hell no.
All right.
The beam is Sacramento for life.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much, Deuce. We really appreciate you joining us, sharing your insights. And everybody listening and watching, make sure you give him a follow on Twitter at Deuce Mason. We'll see you next time.